Welcome back, everybody, to the Manic Audiophile video channel. Before I forget, please subscribe, like my video, hit the notification bell so that when I post a new video and drop it into the mix, you'll be notified and you can watch. So it's been a while since I've dropped a video in the mix. It's been, pretty crazy couple months getting through the holidays and continuing to curate my reference system, as us audiophiles like to call it, a reference system. When I was a kid, I just called it a stereo. Now I call it my reference system. I've embraced all the audiophile language as part of this hobby, as part of this adventure. I'm having a great time curating my reference system, and I wanted to just give you guys an update on where I am in that process. So as you can see behind me, and this is by no means a live shot, this is a background that I'm using for this video. It's easier for me to do it this way because otherwise, having my cell phone on a rinky-dink stand, trying to make heads or tails out of that is beyond my skill set. Let's just put it that way. So what you're seeing is a literally up to the minute um, example or photo, frankly, of my system, of my reference system. I began my high-end journey back in October when I purchased a Luxman E-250 phono amplifier from Luxury Audio and Video in Las Vegas. I then proceeded to buy a vintage Luxman turntable circa 1978 from Dallas Vintage Audio. That table came with a SME 3009 Series 3 improved tone arm and a Sumo cartridge that was probably 20 years old at least, and I needed to replace that. Without boring you on the details, that turntable has been the biggest challenge in my journey. It's a vintage piece, which is kind of goes with the territory. As I think I told many of you when I started, I really kind of wanted to do vintage only. I wanted to do complete vintage across the board, and for a simple reason, the same reason why many of you out there love vintage gear. It looks great and it typically sounds great, and it kind of takes us back to a time in our lives where it was a simpler time. Let's just put it that way. I have childhood memories of the mid to late 70s where my brothers had, well, one in particular had a really meaty, beady, big and bouncy, robust monster stereo that was at the time considered very, very high end, and it was at the time. Frankly, it adjusted for inflation, it'd probably be a six, seven, $8,000 stereo today, and that would include a turntable, receiver, cassette deck, speakers, you name it. I think it was a pioneer, if I remember. Could have been a Sansui, but one of those Japanese hi-fi manufacturers. Certainly wasn't a Luxman. It wasn't a Rotel. It wasn't a Harman Kardon. It wasn't, a Yamaha. It was either a Pioneer or a Sansui, and I loved it. I played it all the time until, for circumstances beyond my control, it was no longer parked in my bedroom in 1981 or 82, whenever the year was. And I think, that in addition to a lot of other things is how and why I really got into audio gear, became an enthusiast about it. And over the many, many intervening years, I've had opportunities to curate certain systems, but nothing like I've been able to do over the last 7, 8 months. What you see behind me is really what I really consider to be a pretty darn world-class high-end audiophile grade reference system. So as you can see behind me, from my left, over there, that direction, is the newest member of the chain. Over there, tucked in that corner, is the REL T9X limited edition Ferrari Race Car Red subwoofer. I just plugged that into the chain on Saturday, which would be a few days ago. And let me just say, without getting too audiophile geeky for you, Game changer. I know we hear this term all the time. Amazing, fantastic, spectacular. Let me tell you, game changing in my system. And my system ain't no slouch. As you can see, I've got the Wharfedale Super Lintons on their stands, just holding court. Looks fantastic, sound fantastic. I love those speakers. And the REL plugs into the same speaker terminals on my Luxman L-507Z that the Wharfedale Super Lintons plug into. So they are literally strategic partners in creating a sonic environment in my listening room that is the best I've ever heard. I mean, it was sounding great already. I'll tell you, the Super Lintons have about, I would say, almost 300 hours on them, so they're pretty much broken in. Some people say even longer, some people say less. Let me tell you, for the last couple weeks, I've been just thoroughly enjoying these Super Lintons and their sound and their texture and their musicality and the sound stage. The depth, the height, the width, the clarity, the instrumentation and separation and the clarity. And it's just, I mean, unbelievable, unbelievable speaker for the money. Less than $3,000 a pair. What can I say? The REL subwoofer over there, about $1,800. So, we're not talking about major investments. But all told, when you add up let's see if I can move out of the way of the Luxman L-507Z, and then to its left is the Luxman D-03X, and then to its right is the Luxman E-250 phono stage, as well as the Sennheiser headphones over there on their stand. It's a pretty respectable rig. Let me just say that. But this hobby can teach you a lot of things, including the need for patience. My journey as it relates to my turntable specifically has been nothing short of frustration, or frustrating, I should say. Again, vintage audio is great in so many ways, but where it isn't great is the fact that it's old equipment, and old equipment has to be serviced, or sometimes things have to be replaced or even rebuilt. And the same is true of my turntable, the Luxman, even though it's a beautiful mint condition table. It's the PD-121U with the mahogany wood and the aluminum face and the just beautiful dust cover, not a scratch, not a smudge on the dust cover. Just really nice table. Whoever sold it to Dan over at Vintage Audio in Dallas really took care of it. And so my hat's off to whoever you are for caring about your gear and treating it with respect. And now it's in my possession, and for whatever reason he got rid of it, and now I it's my treasure. So one man's trash is another man's treasure, as the old saying goes. But it's just been nothing short of a little irritating to get that thing dialed in and on my um, cabinet and into my chain and completing my digital my analog front end. I'll just say it's been something I've been troubleshooting and kind of just negotiating since mid-August, or I'm sorry, mid-October. And so here we are almost at the end of February, and I'm still probably realistically, I'll say maybe 2, 3 weeks away from having that table with its tone arm rewired back on the deck, and with the new cartridge. I have a HANA ML low output moving coil cartridge that's just been installed on the SME rewired tone arm. The tone arm has been completely rewired and rebuilt from end to end by a very competent technician in New Jersey. I highly recommend a gentleman named Josh, who is the owner over at High End Audio Services in New Jersey. High End is spelled Hyend, one word. Josh has been nothing short of just outstanding to work with, and the care and the competence that he brings to the relationship is just absolutely wonderful and fantastic. So if you have any issues with your gear, particularly if it's vintage gear, I highly recommend Josh at High End Audio Services in New Jersey. I wanted to just leave. Yeah, I don't want this to be the longest video in the world, but it has been a while. So I want to leave you with a thought, because I've been kind of turning over this thought in my head over the last several days as it relates to this hobby. And this is a little, how would you say, unsolicited in terms of, advice or observation, frankly. But I do belong to a number of audiophile uh, Facebook groups, many of which are really, really neat to be involved in. A lot of the guys are just really smart. I mean, their knowledge of the hobby and the gear exceeds my knowledge by, in some cases, an order of magnitude. I really am just a passionate hobbyist who loves music and who loves gear and who loves to listen to music on good gear. And it's something that really makes me experience a level of enjoyment that, frankly, I don't think anything else does. I know some guys like to collect motorcycles, classic cars. Some of my buddies like to collect guns. One of my buddies is a passionate collector of guitars, baseball cards, you name it, wine. So mine is high-end audio gear. And I think, as you can see from behind me, it's not a $100,000 system, um, but it's getting midway to that point at this point, and so it's a sizable investment, and it's something that I've done very intentionally and very purposefully and thoughtfully. I think I can say I've done it thoughtfully, but it's taught me patience and discipline, to not just go out and buy whatever is available at the time. My next purchase for my system is going to be a music streamer, and I already identified the one I want, and I'll probably be pulling the trigger on that in the next day or two. In which case, it'll be in my chain probably by the end of the week, if not the beginning of next week. And I'll just be honest, I'm getting the Eversolo T8 music streamer. I mean, I know there's music streamers that I could pay twice as much for, three times, four times, five times. At one point, I was flirting with the Hi-Fi Rose RS-130. I also love the idea of putting another Luxman, um, uh, some more Luxman gear in the chain, and they have a transport streamer that is very respectable but not inexpensive. The Eversolo T8, after doing my due diligence and reading a lot of reviews and talking to other people, I think is a really prudent solution for my digital front end. Right now, I'm currently running my Dell ThinkPad through Audiovana into my Luxman D-03X transport CD DAC, and that's not ideal. I'm not a huge fan of the Audiovana program, both the one on my ThinkPad and the one on my iPhone, frankly. And so I'm looking right now for ease of use, ease of interface, ease of convenience. I'm getting to a point in my life where I like simplicity. Frankly, I like it for simplicity's sake. And right now, other than my turntable being a just complete basket case in terms of simplicity, my computer, ThinkPad computer is a choke, is a choke hold. Is the word I'm looking for, um, in the current rig. And so I'm going to be eliminating that choke from my digital uh, capabilities here to stream high resolution music on Qobuz, which is my preferred uh, streaming platform, music streaming platform. And so very soon, I will be settled up in a situation where I'll have a complete analog and complete digital front end for my reference system. And I'm looking forward to that day coming. Although I wonder what I'll do then. I wonder if I'll have to find somebody or something new to look at, some other new shiny object to obsess over, and watch reviews on YouTube. Probably, look, at the end of the day, this is a hobby, and it's something I really have a lot of fun doing. So I just wanted to leave you though with this one thought for those of you out there who are in this journey and putting together a system. Try to avoid the temptation of impulse buys. I see it a lot on Facebook groups. As I mentioned, what happens a lot of times is guys will log on, or they'll drop into the chat, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm looking for a new streamer, and my budget is $1,000," or "I'm looking for a new pair of speakers, and my budget is $500," or "I'm looking for a new amp or receiver, and my budget is $1,500 or whatever the case may be. And here's my unsolicited advice to those of you out there who kind of approach this hobby that way. Give serious consideration to doing it a little bit differently. And what I mean by that is rather than buy something that you can afford today, meaning buy something that you have enough money in your pocket to pay for right now, think about doing some due diligence, reading up on the various equipment options out there. And there are more than you could. I mean, you could spend the rest of your life looking at all the options. Some of them are just phenomenal. Go on YouTube, watch some reviews. People like Hi-Fi Huff is great. And there's too many to mention, so I'll stop it at Hi-Fi Huff, but by no means am I suggesting that's the exhaustive list. Find something that really appeals to you, both aesthetically and based on what you're hearing by people like Hi-Fi Huff and others who do this professionally in terms of reviewing equipment for your benefit. And then figure out how much it's going to cost you, and then save your money. Save your money for an extra month or an extra 2 months rather than buying what you can afford today for $1,500. Buy something in 3 months for $3,000. I'm not suggesting that you need to spend X amount of money on your stereo. You don't. You can have a wonderful experience with music and audio gear at every level of the economic impact, at every level of the monetary chain. Whether you spend, whether your entire system costs, $1,500, $1,000, $2,500, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, whatever the case may be, whatever is suitable for you and your lifestyle, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anybody tell you that there is. On the other hand, I speak from a little bit of experience here where I came to learn the value of patience and discipline in the curation of my system, identifying what I want, what type of philosophy I'm looking for in terms of design and engineering, what kind of sound appeals to me based on my own ears, not anyone else's, and then identify a suitable unit, uh, component from a reputable company that gives you the warm and fuzzies. And if you can't afford it today, wait. Wait a month. Wait 6 weeks. Wait 2 months. And then buy it rather than buying something today simply because it costs the amount of money that you happen to have available. I know the temptation to do that. We are an impulsive society. We want and we want now. And discipline and patience is no longer a virtue that we learn in school like we used to. But that's my unsolicited advice for those of you out there who are in this hobby and looking to build something special. Take your time, be thoughtful, intentional, purposeful, frugal, to to the best of your ability. Be frugal, but don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Don't cheat yourself out of something special simply because you didn't want to spend or wait, an extra month or 2 or 3. Don't do that to yourself. Don't shortchange yourself. Give yourself every opportunity to really experience the wonderful um, audiophile grade musical experience that the newest innovations and technology it has been made available to us as consumers. A lot of great companies out there doing really, really remarkable stuff, including Eversolo, Hi-Fi Rose, Luxman. The list goes on and on and on. REL subwoofers I'm just a true believer in. And by the way, anybody out there who thinks subs like I used to are just for home theater, nothing could be further from the truth. That little beautiful race car red REL there in the corner has leveled up my sonic environment here in my listening room to a level and to an extent that I didn't even know was possible, frankly, without doing something entirely different and transformational. That subwoofer in the corner has done more to improve the sound of my stereo and my reference system than I think maybe anything else in my chain, to be honest with you. It, for one thing, has made those Wharfedale Super Lintons sound spectacular because it has removed a lot of the workload of those Lintons on the lower end, which allows them to do what they're really, really good at and designed at is mid and highs. The subwoofer carries the lows as a strategic partnership. The arrangement works beautifully. You'll hear it in your ears. And what will happen, my prediction, is you will find yourself listening to music not just for an hour, not just for an hour and a half. You will find yourself wanting to listen to music for hours upon hours. And not only will you enjoy it, your significant other will enjoy it. Because if your significant other, if your wife or husband, whatever the case may be, is like my wife, she's beautiful and she's wonderful and she's remarkable. And I love her with all my heart, soul, strength, but she thinks I'm a little weird. She thinks that there's some empirical weirdness that goes on with my fascination for this stuff and thinks that a lot of the stuff that I say I hear, I don't hear. Um, Believe me, I hear it. And you know what I mean. You hear it too. Well, you'll hear the difference if you put a REL T9X subwoofer into your chain. Doesn't need to be the Rosa Corso, the Italian red, $700 a gallon, the paint. It doesn't have to be that one. It could be a black T9X. It could be a white T9X. It could be a blue or, a jealousy green. I think it's called envy, green with envy. They have green, tangerine, yellow, white, red. The reds are sold out, so never mind that unless you can find it. Find one on eBay or US Audio Mart or in some other place. But typically, you're not going to find the race car red sub. Although I think upscale audio might actually have some reds in stock for about $1,800 and worth every dime. Worth every dime. Trust me. I'd also encourage you to upgrade your high level connector to the REL baseline blue. Massive improvement as well. I mean, you can just do this forever, right, guys? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. From connectors I mean, every startup, step up transformers. Um, you know, it's never finished. The curation process really never finishes unless you just literally run out of resources. And I don't encourage you to do that because there's other important things for you to spend your money on, like taking your wife out to a nice dinner and buying her a nice piece of jewelry, bringing her some flowers, which is something I do way too infrequently. Anyways, that's it, guys and gals. If there are gals out there, are there any women audiophiles? Because I got to tell you, I don't run into any, and I don't see any of them on YouTube. Now I'm sure there are. I just don't happen to subscribe to any channels by women audiophiles, and that would be an interesting thing to find. So if you know of anybody that's worth watching and subscribing to, drop it in the comments. Again, please don't forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and drop some comments. Give me some feedback. Tell me I'm full of it. Tell me that I'm the most mesmerizingly intelligent human being you've ever come across, if that's what you think. Don't lie. Be honest. And let's face it, I am. But more importantly, engage. Just engage. Drop some info. Drop some narrative. Drop some messaging, and let's get this party started. So that's it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. See you next time.